wrapped up and finished, and we never rise again. Just good to be reminded that even though we think it's over, it's not over. Even though we think we're done and there's no more renewal, there's no more refreshment for us, it's not finished. Amen. The next line might be the best line when God is in. Amen. Amen. It's just good to be reminded that God is in. Amen. I know y'all feel it, y'all just don't want to go there. Amen. I know you've experienced that you just don't want to reach up and touch the sky, look to the sky. Amen. You don't want everybody else to know that He's really gotten a hold of you. Everything's going to be all right. I understand. You don't want nobody to know that something is deep on the inside and just crying to step out and let everybody know that. You got an experience or two to let others know that God is alive. Amen, amen, amen. That yes, we were dead, but then the Spirit arose within us to let us know that even though the world said that it's over, amen, He can speak life where there is no life. Amen, amen. He can speak refreshing where we are all worn out when God is in it. Y'all look like y'all might wanted to just know something about the song. Just kind of a little timid, a little scared. Amen. God is in it. Amen. Amen. They was wondering why I wouldn't sing that. They asked me to sing it yesterday. They were wondering why I didn't sing that. I preach better than I sing. Amen. Amen. I might try it next time. Amen. Amen. God is good, y'all. Micah chapter 6, if you turn there with me. I wanted to do something simple this morning. I hope I achieve that. Let me know later. Micah chapter 6, beginning at verse 1. If you're having some trouble, after Ezekiel is Hosea, Joel, oh, that's right, y'all got electronic, I'm sorry. Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah. So ain't none of y'all turning pages? Okay.
Micah what?
Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah. Hosea, Joel, Amos. All of them are small books. Hosea, Joel, Amos. So it's Ezekiel, which is like one of the last bigger books after Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel, Ezekiel, all that stuff. Hosea, Joel, Amos. It's almost to the New Testament, not quite. Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah. If you don't want to do that, you can always go to the table of contents. Amen. You'll get your page. All right. Micah chapter 6, verse 1. Hear now what the Lord says. Arise, plead your case before the mountains, and let the hills hear your voice. Hear, O you mountains, the Lord's complaint, and you strong foundations of the earth. For the Lord has a complaint against his people, and he will contend with Israel. O my people, what have I done to you? And how have I wearied you? Some translations have, how have I burdened you? Testify against me, for I brought you up from the land of Egypt. I redeemed you from the house of bondage. The Message Bible puts it something like, I brought you out of hard times. I delivered you from hard times. And I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember now what Balak, king of Moab, counseled, and what Balaam, the son of Beor, answered him. From Acacia Grove to Gilgal, that you may know the righteousness of the Lord, With what shall I come before the Lord, and bow myself before the high God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has shown you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. The Message Bible, again, remixes that last part. I'll tell you how it remixes it toward the end of the message. I want to talk about this morning the simple expectations of God. The simple expectations of God. The book of Micah covers the span of two kings' reign. Their names were Jotham and Ahaz. Both of them were kings of Judah. One did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and everybody who's been in Bible study with me know what the next line. The other one did what was, amen, what was wrong, what was evil, what was corrupt in the eyes of the Lord. The reality of God's people during the time of Micah's prophecy was that God's people were corrupt, had been corrupt for some time, and God was displeased. In fact, they were beginning to complain about God. God's people, that is, were beginning to complain about God. Thus, the opening words of chapter 6 paints a picture of a courtroom where trial is taking place. In fact, it seems like there are two trials taking place. One where God is the defendant and his people the plaintiff. Did I get that right, Rhonda? where God is the defendant and the people are the plaintiff. The other where the people are the defendant and God is the plaintiff. Actually, most of us have such a scene in our life, in our mind, where we register a complaint against God. Some circumstance in our life where we see God as unfair, as brutal, as dealing with us unjustly. We register our complaint and call God to task because certainly our experiences suggest that God does not care. That he has not defended our cause. He has not stood up with us against our enemy. I wonder if you can recall a time when you've had a complaint against God. I know most of us are scared to raise our hand. We don't want anybody to know that we had a complaint against God. And maybe nobody else was aware, but we were talking about how unfair God had been to us. Come on now. Certainly I deserve better. Look at all that I've done. Look at how I've helped this person and that person. Look at my life and how successful I am. Why has God turned his back on me? Most of us have been there. I'm not saying we were right, but most of us have had the audacity at one time or another to complain that God has not shown up for us. That's exactly where these folks were, exactly where Israel was at the time of Micah chapter 6. We put God on trial. Micah 6, the chapter opens, God in the stand demanding that they call a real witness. They call somebody who really knows what the true facts are. Someone who knows, who has seen, who has experienced the truth of those who have the audacity to complain against God. So God says to the people, tell the mountains, make your case in the hills. Now some of us think that that's just a random reference. It's just something that Micah pulled out of the sky. But go back in your mind a little bit to Psalm 121. So Psalm 120, most of us actually get it wrong what the real meaning of that psalm is. So in the King James, I will lift up my eyes to the hills from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord. And most of us think that what that psalm is talking about is looking to the hills and finding God. Actually, the New Living Translation makes it a little clearer what the meaning of the passage is. Here's how it phrases it. I look to the mountains. Does my help come from there? I mean, is my help, is my real reality found in the hills and in the mountains? And then he answers the question. He answers the question. My help comes from God, who made the heavens and the earth. First, I just tell you the textual, verbal meaning of what's in the phrase, and then I really get down to what he was talking about. So if you think your help is coming from the mountains and the hills, and then somebody else come back and answer you, no, my help comes from the Lord, who made the hills, who made the heavens and the earth. So if my help comes from the one who made heavens and earth, it certainly don't come from the hills, because somebody created the hills themselves. That's earth. But also created heaven. So just in terms of language, you know that he's not talking about his help comes from the hills. Now let me help you with the other part of it that really kind of hit them where they were. You see, Israel was a lot like us. Yeah. We want to try everything but God when we get in trouble. Oh, y'all want to do that? Sorry. I didn't mean to offend you this morning. but we don't go to God. We want to try a little this, we want to try a little that, try a little something else. And then when we get in trouble and can't get out, we want to run and complain to God. The hills was where literally there were thousands upon thousands of shrines to other gods that Israel went to worship and find for their help. Whenever they got in trouble, whenever someone was chasing them, whenever the enemy was on their heels, whenever they were under siege, they went to the hills. That's where they went. They didn't go to God because they thought God could not help them. Whatever they was facing, they thought, was beyond the capacity of God to respond and deliver them. And they had done that time upon time, decade upon decade, and they found themselves in their current positions where God was mad, they were unsuccessful, everything was falling down around them. Amen. And so what do they do? Same thing we do. God, why didn't you help me? Right. Why is it that you did not come to my rescue? And so what God says is, look to the hills, ask the mountains what they have to say. You know what he's saying? The person you really need to complain to are the folks you've been going to all along. Right. You've been going to the hills and mountains and false gods for help. They haven't helped. You don't have a complaint against me. You have a complaint against the one you've been talking to. You've been asking, that you've been sacrificing to, that you've been putting all of your resources. That's who you really have a complaint to register with. Not me. It's actually a double message. So one is your real complaint against them. The other one is the hills and the mountains know the real truth about where you've been going. They see you. All of your dirty, disobedient laundry you've aired out before them. They know the real truth. And just in case we want to get a little bit comfortable, we have our own hills and mountains. Yeah. We do. We have our own places that we frequent when we get in trouble, that we go to for help. Some of us is in the club. That's our hill. That's our mountain. That's the place with which that we run to. We run to the club. Some of us is Mr. Blake. That's where we go when we get in trouble. When we need somebody to rescue us from whatever situation we're in, we run to Mr. Blake. Amen. Some of us, it's the loan sharks. Some of us, it's our houses that call us the witness. You know, we claim that we're so in love with God. Visit your house on a day when you don't think a camera is stuck up there. What does your house say about you? Amen. What does Minnetonka or Crystal or one of the Brooklyns or Minneapolis about your reality. Micah actually explains why you should be careful about who you register a complaint against. You should be cautious about leveling accusations because that person might have some facts that really put things in perspective. So after God's people complained and had God on trial, God presented his case against his people. Whenever we complain against somebody else, we give them an opportunity to register a complaint against us. So here's what God wanted to know. It's the same thing from us. It's the same thing that he asked his people in Micah's day. What's the real record? How have I done you wrong? How have I burdened you and worn you out? And actually God demands an answer. Behind that it's an exclamation mark. Answer me! I can't tell you, I'm talking to y'all, I can't tell you to your face because you think I'm being unfair, too insensitive. But I'm sick of people complaining about their life. You know how people talk about how their life is so hard? I'm kind of sick of it. I really am. All the stuff that they are saddled with. Not my question, but God's questions. Have I really burdened you? Have I worn you out? And some of you have the nerve to tell God yes. You do. Shame on you. God's answer to his people then, I delivered you. Guess what God says about all the people that are complaining? I delivered you from a bad life in Egypt. I mean, that was real. That really happened. They were enslaved with no hope of freedom, and God freed them. Some of you know the bad life that God delivered you from. Look into your life and tell the truth about whether your life has really been all of that. Or is there some real stuff that God has delivered you from? Some of us, God has delivered from more than we dare tell anybody else. God has some details, not just about what he delivered you from, but how much it actually cost him to set you free. So if we really look back to Egypt, there was a cost that he had to pay for what Egypt was doing, but there was also a cost that he had to pay for what God's people were doing. You know, sometimes when God's trying to set you free, you are just so resistant and obstinate, and you will not do what you need to do to walk out of hell. You actually got comfortable there. And you look and say, I don't know what's on the other side, so I might as well keep what I have. Even though you're stressed out, you are not happy, your life is in shambles, you still won't stay there. It cost God something to set us free. Yes, it did. But God didn't just set you free. He did something else for most of us. He kept our enemies from cursing us. I know some of us don't believe in cursing anymore. We think that all of that stuff that's down in what we say it is, Louisiana, in the New England area and all that stuff. We think that that's just fake, and people don't really believe that. That's not really happening. But I need you to know that there are some evil spirits out there who have capacity to put some curses on their life. All right? He kept your enemies from cursing you. Right. So he reminded them of Balak and Balaam. Y'all know that story? So Balak was a king. And Israel was on their way to the promised land. And they had to go through the land of Moab, where Balak was the king. Balak got nervous because there were too many of them Israelites, right? And he thought that they were going to take his land, take his resources, take his kingdom. They had hope. They hadn't done nothing to him now. But they just had a whole bunch of fear about what God's people were going to do to them. So he figured, I don't have the power to do it, so I'm going to call someone who does have the power to put curses on people. So he called Balaam and asked Balaam to curse him. And Balaam did something that a lot of us don't have sense enough to do. Balaam said, let me check with God to see if that's all right. Before I tell you yes, let me just check in to see if I can go with you. And then we are real stupid sometimes. So, look, sometimes when we get some resistance, when we want to do some dirt, we just keep going and going and going and going. So what Balak And finally, God said, Balaam, go. Y'all remember the donkey story? Where the donkey actually talked. Same story. This is the same story. In the process of Balaam going, his donkey kept him from dying, I think 3 times, because there was an angel with a sword drawn, ready to kill him because he was disobeying God. He was going to try to curse his people. So here's what God did for them, what God does for us. When people are trying to curse us, here's the message. Can't nobody curse what God has blessed. That's exactly what the Lord said. And so when Balaam had all this money, Balaam's brother had all this money that he was going to give to put a curse on God's people, Balaam said, I can't do nothing but what God tells me I can do. And so when he pushed the issue, God changed the curse into a blessing. Y'all didn't catch that, did you? Yeah, I know y'all missed that. Because some of those stuff where you've gotten blessings have been because somebody was insistent on cursing you. And God said, since you're going to be so stupid not to listen, I'm going to change your curse into a blessing. Some of your blessings just came because somebody else was so insistent that they was going to ruin your life. And God said, no, you're not. I'm going to take your resources and bless them anyhow. Some of y'all got it. I'm glad some of y'all got it. Amen. 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 He did that, I think, 3 or 4 times. Kept trying to get Balaam to curse him. And each time, God renewed and gave a new and fresh blessing. Amen. God has time upon times in our life, in my life, in your life, when people have been trying to ruin you. God has took what they meant for evil and turned it towards your good.
Oh, hallelujah.
Amen. We forget that sometimes. We all scared because who get elected. We're scared about who's the new person that was hired to be our boss. We're scared about some everything. We forget that God knows how to take curses that was intended to you for you and turn them for blessings.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. I hope y'all get excited about this. I got some stuff in my life, brothers and sisters, where I ain't been doing so good. And God has blessed me anyway. Amen. I got some people right now who trying to get me. Amen. Praise God. But God knows how to take that and turn it for what He wants to happen. Mind you, that when we follow God, when we trust His word, He defends our case. And some of us, all we can do is complain to God about how hard we have it. For some of us, God just paid a huge ransom to deliver us from bondage. He just made your enemies bless you, and all you can do is see what you don't have.
Right.
You can't see what God just did.
Right.
You better recognize what you owe God. After such a trial, the only question is for us, one in this text, for everybody who serves God, is how can I stand before God and offer proper respect to our God? So in that phrase, here's what I want you to hear. Proper respect. I don't need you to respect me. How can we offer proper respect for God because of God's record in our life? How can we do that? Most of us get ridiculous when we try to answer that question. So Micah mentions the ridiculous. Do I literally give God everything I have? Truth is, brothers and sisters, we actually owe God everything that we have and more. We owe God everything we have and more. We owe God the lives of our loved ones, our own lives, because God has paid for them many, many times over. Amen. Bible says God has made it plain how to live, what it is that we need to do. So when it goes through all this stuff, thousands of barrels of oil, 10,000 rivers, and all that other kind of stuff, it's really just talking about the ridiculous. Because even if you could do that, it wouldn't be enough. I don't care if you took your stuff, your family stuff, your neighbor's stuff, your enemy stuff, it wouldn't be enough to pay God back. God makes it real simple for us. We don't need to be extravagant. So here's what Bible says. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. In there, here's what I want you to read. Treat your neighbor the way you should be treated by someone who loves you and wants the best for you. I won't say treat your neighbor like you treat yourself, because some of y'all treat yourselves really, really bad. It's true.
That's right.
Some of you are determined to ruin your own life because that's what you think you deserve. So I'm not going to say treat them like you treat yourself, because some of you don't know how to treat yourself. You don't know how to be good in your own life and give yourself a ticket out since God has forgiven you. You don't know how to forgive yourself. You're determined to make yourself pay for everything that you've ever done. I see people like that all the time. So don't treat them like you treat yourself. But treat them like someone who honestly loves you, who wants the best for you, who are determined that you're going to succeed. Treat them like that person would treat you. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. Be fair. Don't try to cheat them. You know, some of us will get a quarter where all we do is a nickel. Be fair in how we're treating other people. Don't try to cheat them out of everything they have. Don't disrespect them. Don't desire that someone prosecutes them to the fullest extent of the law. Be fair. Don't hope they get every negative thing that they deserve. Pray for their salvation, for their positive change, for correction and prosperity in their life. And when you can help them do better, help them do better. Have some compassion in your life and be loyal in your love. That's actually the second thing it says. Have some compassion in your life and be loyal in your love. You know what real compassion looks like? It looks like something more than, I sure wish that they would get themselves together. It's a little bit more than that. I mean, real compassion goes a little bit further. I sure wish somebody would help. Real compassion goes a little bit further than that. All right. Why is it that they're down there? Real compassion gets down in the mud with other folks and helps them get out. Real compassion takes your resources and gives them to somebody who does not have them. If you got real compassion for someone who is not doing well, then you can help them do better. You can show them how to do better. You can walk with them for a little while and show them what walking looks like. That's what real compassion does. You know what being loyal in your love is? That even when the person on the other side of your loyalty cannot receive your love, you love them anyway. How many times have I heard they don't know how to receive love? How many times have I heard that? You heard it before? I'm trying to bless them and they don't know how to receive. You heard that before? And let me ask you this. Have you ever been on the receiving end of that, meaning somebody was trying to help you and you didn't know how to receive it? Just ask. Because I know there was one time in my life I was too proud to be wise. And I had all of this pride and this strength, and I can do it all by myself. Why? I can do it all by myself. You can't either. And I didn't want to receive the help that I needed. God kept sending it. I'm going to do it on my own. No, I'm not going to do it on my own because I don't know how to do it on my own. Yeah. Loyal in your love means you keep chasing, you keep trying, you keep working till you can figure out a way to give the people you love what they need to make it to the next level of success. To make it to a hope that's somewhere deep inside of them that they cannot touch. Loyal in your love means that you hang in there with them. You want to know what loyal in your love looks like? You remember the situation when Jesus was there in the garden and Peter was there too, and Peter was trying to cut somebody's ear off? He was doing the wrong thing. Did Jesus stop loving him? No. That's what loyalty and love looks like. Because Peter could have cost Jesus everything had he left. But his loyalty and his love meant that he kept loving them even though Peter put very purposes for which God came in jeopardy. Be loyal in what you're doing, what you're trying to do for someone else. Be steadfast in how you're standing with God, how you're working with God, how you're being faithful to His Word. And then the last one, some of y'all really are not going to like. Last one says this: don't take yourself too seriously. Take God seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. Take God seriously. For the past weeks, I've taken myself really too seriously. I've thought too much about the possibility of this afternoon's event falling on its face, what that would mean for justice, what it would mean for the church making a stand for faith in God, for what it would mean for us standing together under the banner of God, what it would mean for faith leaders truly being faith leaders. I've taken myself a little too seriously. But if I take God seriously, I'll do what God tells me, and I'll trust whatever He wants to do with the rest of it. That's fine, brothers and sisters. In the end, that's all any of us can do. I can't make, one thing that I really need to be clear about, I can't make nobody do nothing. Right? I can have all the wisdom in the world in my head, but that doesn't mean I can give you any of it. Hello, I know I don't. Okay, that would be taking myself a little bit too seriously. But I could, and that doesn't mean that I can do anything with it with you. Even if I know the direction to go in and how to do it and everything, that doesn't mean that I can get other people to follow. It doesn't. But I know we can. I know whose responsibility it really is. It's mine to listen to the one that has the real authority, that can change people's minds, that can take curses and turn them to blessings, that can turn the world upon its end. I know who can do that. Don't take yourselves too seriously, brothers and sisters. But take God very seriously. Know what happens when we take God seriously? We remember what God has done in our life. We remember how He rescued us from a bondage that was hell itself. And only He could do it. There were too many obstacles in the way for us to be able to navigate through them, or even if we could, to be able to defeat them. Only God can stand up and take the people who wanted to do me harm, do you harm, curse your life, and take those curses and turn them to blessings. I know some of us think the curses are a figment of our imagination. We think that that stuff is just fairy tales. I know what I was thinking. I mean, take a real good look at some of the folks who are around you. I mean, a real good look. I mean, more than just a cursory look. Take a real good look at some families that keep finding themselves in the same experiences, in the same negative ruts over and over and over again. You really think that that's natural? This is what I ask you. Do you really think that that's really what they want for themselves, and they're determined that they got to repeat the same destruction year after year after year, getting worse and worse? Do you really believe that? Have you been in darkness that long? That you think that those are the natural desires and the natural inclinations of people? There are real life curses that are still active in people's lives. And you know something. You could be one of them. You could be. You've been trying all of the wrong stuff. Somebody told me this. You've been medicating yourself. Some of y'all really know what that means. The hills can't help it. The mountains don't have an answer for it. Stop going. They ain't done nothing for you yet. What makes you think that tomorrow is going to be any different? The real answer, brothers and sisters. The real answer. Stop complaining against God. and start seeking God. Ask the only one who can help you out of your situation, that can deliver you from the bondage that you're in. Ask for his help. Take your resources to him. Render your thanksgiving and sacrifice to God and ask God to deliver you even though you don't deserve it. Ask God to set you free. Know what the Lord does? At the moment that you turn toward it, he don't do like I do. I still slip every once in a while. Somebody turned to me and asked me for help, and 5 minutes ago they just finished cussing me out in one form or another. Not necessarily a four-letter word. You don't cuss for that four-letter word. You know what? I mean, it doesn't have to be a four-letter word. Some stuff is worse than a four-letter word. Sometimes I slip and I want to say some other stuff rather than help. God didn't do it.
Right.
God sees your heart, notices your turn. Understand that you're no longer looking to the false pretenses and medication, that you're now looking to him, beyond him, to the one who made the heavens and the earth. And he answers. He delivers us. He sets us free. And he really asks some really, really simple stuff. Treat everybody fairly. Be loyal in your love. Don't you want somebody to love you right when you don't act like you want to be loved? Don't you want them to love you anyway? Give what you want and need. And by all means, brothers and sisters, don't take yourself too seriously. You really ain't all that important. You really don't have it together like you're trying to convince everybody else you do. You're not the bad person that you're trying to convince everybody else of, but you can't even convince yourself. How you going to convince somebody else? But take God very seriously. He's got a pretty good record. Check your own history. He's done some pretty amazing things. And he's got more. Far that he wants to do in us, with us. Amen.
Amen. Amen.